Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to the final 70s hard and heavy video for the month. Now, there might be 3 or 2 after this one, but for the most part, this will probably be the final video I do for the month. So at that, what would end it? Then to focus on retro 70s sounding bands. Now, I mostly picked ones that were from the 2010s, and for that reason, it's because I kind of feel like the ones that were actually from the 2000s, while there probably were some good ones, I don't feel that they ever quite captured what I really looked for in band, especially the modern bands that play that sort of 70s kind of sound. So with this, all the 5 bands I picked here, all basically, I think, to me, really represents what I look for in 70s bands, especially when looking for 70s hard and heavy sounding retro bands. So with that, with these 5 ones, mostly all these bands you can find on Bandcamp. With only 4 of these ones, you can get with your name your price. Only 1 can be found on vinyl and CD, but I'll get to that one. So with that, I hope you enjoy these 5 picks. So with that, it's time to get into it. So this first band here is out of Australia, and they are definitely fairly, in a way, they are definitely new, but just a great band. That's, of course, the Swamp Moth. Out of Australia. This is their debut 2013 EP, and it's contrived of 4 tracks. Their brand is kind of, it's very organ-laced rock. You might get some little bit of Uriah Heep out of there, get some really early Deep Purple sound out of there, maybe a little bit of Whitesnake here and there, but not as much. Maybe at times some Grand Funk Railroad. You're going to get all kinds of sort of stuff with the Swamp Moth. But it's definitely great. At times there's I think one song on here that actually does have a really good hard and heavy feel to it. That a lot of this still sounds like it could have been from the early 70s. Just great sounding stuff. Just a really obscure band. A lot of these bands here, to be quite honest, I'm not going to really get I don't think I will get the copyright claims or anything, because these are fairly obscure ones. So, and they're not, most of these bands are not even signed to a label. So if anyone that ever thinks that they are signed to, or this stuff was released through a label, they're just bullshitting. There's no way. So with that, I'll be definitely playing you a sample here, and I hope I turn you on to something good and new. So with that, I'm going to be getting to the next album here, so with that, enjoy.
Take it from the hand that feeds you well, not giving anymore. You've been lost, but I don't really care. I'm closing up my door. Had a chance, you let it slip away. You threw it in my face.
Alright, second album here. This time it's an album, and of course I never really showed any EPs during my whole 70s hard and heavy month. But, so with that was cool. This one's an album, of course. Definitely, again, a fairly new band still. This, of course, is Owl, out of Oakland, California. Just great stuff. This is, of course, our second album. It's titled Screech. And again, this is definitely one you'll find on vinyl. You'll probably, they always seem to repress their vinyl stuff. When it comes to CD, you can't, so therefore this CD release is actually out of print. So it's going to be fairly tough to probably come by. And it's on this, they call it eco packaging and everything, but it's mostly kind of like a little vinyl record, though. When it comes to that, this is how it looks. Really interesting stuff, but again, it's going to be really tough to come by. Anyways, Owl, their brand of 70s rock is like, they always get kind of described as like a heavy stoner doom kind of band, and you kind of get that, but I always kind of get a more of a psychedelic feel to it, like more like heavy psych. or heavy stoner psych or some sort of like that. And it's definitely good stuff. This is definitely, though, I think between the two albums, their first album was released through Stormspell, which is actually this one right there. Definitely good album, but Screech, I think, is probably their best. It's the one that really just has a real good, hard and heavy sound to it. That almost at times kind of reminds me a bit of Alice Cooper. Mostly like Killer. Just great stuff. So with that, I'll definitely be playing you a sample here. So with that, I hope you enjoy this sample. If you've never heard this band, if you do like it, you will definitely will not have any problem buying this on vinyl. It is there. So with that, hope you enjoy. I'll be getting into the third release here.
Now we're getting the hell out of Bendon and found Benderton. Said we're burning Bendon, been learning from Bendon some.
Alright, third release here. This, I think, is another EP, even though this one is probably kind of short, though a little bit long in a way, I feel, for your average EP. But these guys are based out of Spain. They're called Green Desert Water. Very interesting name, but with cover art with that, I couldn't pass up. Great stuff. It's like they do have more of a psychedelic sound to them. More psychedelic blues rock. But at times there's a bit of a hard and heaviness here and there to it. Just overall, 6 songs, mostly of just great, down-to-earth, honest, psychedelic blues rock that at times, maybe here and there, reminds a little of Savoy Brown here and there. Just great stuff. So, again, band, you're only going to find this as a digital download. And right now, this is our only release. Released back in, I believe, like 2012. So with that, I hope you enjoy the sample and everything. Just great stuff. And when it comes to modern production, it has that, but at the same time, there's a real down-to-earth feel. It just sounds like a whole bunch of guys in the pretty much jamming in the studio. Just everything, cool stuff. So with that, enjoy. Alright, fourth release here for this video, and I definitely want to save the 2 best for last. But this, of course, is another full-length album, and mostly I think I'll be showing here like 3 EPs. Well, with that, let's not make it any longer. This is a killer album. When I found these guys, these guys are out of Argentina, and they only had about 2 releases, an EP and a full-length album. And when I checked these guys out, everything was for like name your price, but man, I can't believe that some of this stuff is like not really discovered by any record labels. This is fantastic stuff. This is Common Chaka, again, out of Argentina, but this is their debut full-length album out of 2015 called, I hope I pronounce this right, Respiro Sangre, and this is 8 songs of killer hard rock. Everything just has a very unnatural, honest sound to it. Just sounds like, again, a couple of guys just in the studio jamming. Everything just sounds completely earthy sounding and everything. It's like everything's sung in their native language, but just overall, it's like just complete hard rock riff after hard rock riff from just killer song after killer song. everything about this is fucking good. If I had to sample, I could sample the whole entire album. It's just that freaking good. Just, this is the kind of stuff I look for in today's hard rock stuff. It's like, even though I love my AC/DC sounding bands, I love some of that. But when it comes to bands that try to be like retro 70s rock or everything, these guys, it just sounds like it could have been recorded back in the 1970s, more like the mid to late 70s. Or just early to mid, I think is mostly there, but still great stuff. So at that, I hope you enjoy the sample that I'll be playing you here. So with that, great band. I hope this band releases more onwards. Just great, earthy, hard rock band. So with that, enjoy. Alright, last release here, and final release I'll probably be talking about in any 70s hard and heavy video. So at that, it's an EP, but this is a fucking killer EP. I've actually reviewed their full-length album from last year, which is this band right here, Blind Horses. Of course, was titled Patagonini, was released last year. Killer hard rock album with some psychedelic and progressive influences. But the EP I'm showing is the less psychedelic and less progressive sounding of them. It, of course, is their debut EP title, In the Arms of Road. And this is just a killer, badass 3-track EP. Every song here is just killer, heavy blues rock. Just killer, heavy stuff. I don't know, every song in here, the title track, Rainbows in the Dark, not a cover of the Dio song. And of course the last track, which is probably the longest song in here, titled Curled. Killer stuff. Very much at times has a bit of that Led Zeppelin feel, a little bit of White Snake here and there, early White Snake again. Everything just has that feel, but it's just all good shit. All good stuff. Nothing on here to me it's just a killer 3-track EP, no filler, just all killer. And again, you can only find this as a digital download. I wish some of these guys' stuff was released physically for you vinyl freaks, of course. Because everyone that's into like 70s hard rock or 70s hard and heavy, it's just a great, fantastic stuff. And when it comes to newer bands, to me, it's the more obscure ones that seem to do the best, especially the ones that are out of Europe are still the best ones. Like, again, these guys are out of Brazil. Well, the one was from Argentina, which was Common Chaka, and of course, Green Desert Water are out of Spain. But it's just those bands out of those kind of countries are usually the ones that seem to do it for me when it comes to newer bands. They just know how to do it right. And this is just fucking fantastic stuff. So with that, I'll definitely be playing you a sample here, and it's what will end off the video. So with that, I hope everyone enjoyed the whole entire 70s hard and heavy month. I definitely had quite a blast doing these videos and coming up with what to show in here. It really gave me a chance to talk about mostly just a lot of stuff that's usually within my record collection and everything, because I only have a lot more 70s stuff than I do 80s or all that. A lot of the 80s stuff is mostly on CD. But it just gave me a chance to talk about some of these and show my appreciation for these albums. And of course, when it comes to newer ones. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this. So until then, I don't know when I'll do another these kind of videos. I know I've got some stuff planned out post-month and everything. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this. So until then, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out. And I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.
Baby.